The latest trade rumors and information about the Cardinals' plan with the trade deadline just 1 week away. This is Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Haffern, and I'm a national radio sports anchor born and raised in the Lou and a lifetime Cardinals fan. And I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. You can follow me on Twitter, X at JD Sports Radio, and follow the podcast at LO_Cardinals. We want to thank those of you who make Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. You can like, subscribe, comment when you go to the YouTube page. Make sure you're interacting with us and hit the notification button so you know when new episodes are posted, because this is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode of Locked On Cardinals brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah, the right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your rivals. Check out Booking.com for your stay today. So the St. Louis Cardinals fall in Pittsburgh on Monday night by the score of 2-1. Neither offense was all that great. Pitching for both sides was very, very good. These games happen. Cardinals lost the first game in Atlanta in a tight one. Remember, 3-2 in extra innings. People lost their minds about it. Oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Cardinals went on to win the next two. Now Paul Skeens is on the mound for the Pirates tonight, so that should be interesting and make things a little more difficult. But, we'll get into that. We'll get into where is JoJo Romero. People want answers about that. That was a big question that people had after last night's game. So we'll delve into that stuff later on in the episode. We do have a bit of news here to get things going. The team has officially signed first-round draft pick J.J. Wetherholt. So that's great news. Tommy Edman is set to play tonight for Double-A Springfield after another setback with his ankle. So that's positive. But let's get into the juicy stuff, the stuff you really want to hear about, the trade rumors, stuff like that. Let's get into it, shall we? We are 1 week away. That's all that's left before the MLB trade deadline hits on Tuesday, July 30th, 6 p.m. Eastern. 1 week for some teams to basically poop or get off the pot. 1 week for other teams to decide to make some vast improvements to their rosters for a playoff push. 1 week for tinkering a little bit. 1 week to decide how the future of the franchise is going to go for these guys. So a lot of pressure. And we know what the Cardinals' needs are by now, don't we? Depth at starting pitching is something they need. How about another bullpen arm or two to acquire those things? Number one, the rest of the league wants the same stuff, right? Number two, limited number of players available for trade because so many teams are still in the running for wild card spots. Now you're starting to hear about some of these teams that are like, we might be willing to talk. A couple of them in the NL Central. You've heard the rumors that perhaps the Reds are ready to start moving on from some guys with expiring contracts. That the Cubs, they're not ready to sell the farm, but they've kind of decided, unless something happens here in the next couple of days, we're probably going to make some people available as well. Jameson Taillon's name has been somebody I've seen floating around. Cardinals trade parameters can be an issue too, because there are some things that the Cardinals can and can't do. They're not willing, or hopefully not willing, to give up many top prospects due to the lack of depth they already have in the organization. Remember, we just kind of replenished things last year because you ended up having to sell at the trade deadline. So now you've got all these prospects. You don't want to get rid of all of them already. So that's something they don't probably want to do. So that's why you won't see them in on, the bigger names like a Garrett Crochet from the White Sox, because of the cost is going to be so high that the Cardinals can't survive that. They can't give up 5 of their top 15 prospects to go get somebody like that. They're just not willing to do that. They don't want to take on a lot of extra payroll. They're not willing to do that either. They're not one of these teams that has a $300 million plus payroll that can just absorb that kind of salary. So you can take those guys off the list, somebody who's got a big paycheck coming their way. So that means they probably want to target guys with expiring contracts and guys who have just 1 year remaining. And that's probably it. Those are kind of where you got to narrow things down to. Another problem, outbidding or outmaneuvering other general managers to get what they need. How much do you trust John Mozeliak to do something here at the trade deadline of significance that will make such an impact on these Cardinals that they will be pushed into that next level of team in the National League and be somebody people think, yeah, they got a shot at the World Series title. Another problem. What are the player values of guys already in the organization? How do Mozeliak and the rest of the front office, how do they view guys like Tommy Edman, Jordan Walker, Steven Matz? Where do they think they are? How much of an impact are these guys going to have? Because when you're talking about a starting pitcher, Steven Matz is a starting pitcher. You're talking about a right-handed bat, Jordan Walker is a right-handed bat. Tommy Edman obviously can hit both right and left-handers, and he's very versatile, can do infield and outfield. Do we really have to go out and get somebody? I'm just telling you, that's how they're thinking right now. We don't know those answers yet, but it's not complicated. The Cardinals, they need to improve in those certain areas, and only so many names are going to fit the bill for what the Cardinals can do, what they can take on, and what they're willing to give up to get. So let's get into the latest rumblings and rumors surrounding the Cardinals and the league. So we're going to start with what MLB.com's John Denton recently wrote. And he says the Cardinals are going to be chasing after two pitchers in particular. Here's what he said. For the first time in decades, the Cardinals were sellers at the trade deadline last season as they dealt away 5 pitchers for a bevy of prospects. And in case you don't remember, Jordan Montgomery, Jack Flaherty, Jordan Hicks, Chris Stratton, Genesis Cabrera, all traded away. Now the Cardinals will use those prospects and others to try to lure pitching help and maybe a difference-making right-handed bat to St. Louis. 2 pitchers the Cardinals will likely target, per a source: Rangers right-hander Nathan Eovaldi and Rays righty Zach Eflin. So let's start with Nathan Eovaldi. Texas Rangers, 34 years old. He's 6-4. He's got a 3.34 ERA plus of 118. Wrapping up a 2-year deal with the Rangers, but does have a vesting option next year that has a $2 million buyout and becomes a player option if he reaches 300 innings combined between last year and this year. He's at 243 right now. So he would have to average 6 innings over his next 9.5 starts to get there. So not exactly an easy thing, but something that's certainly within the realm of getting done. The Rangers are now 4 games back in the AL West. They're 7.5 back in the wild card. If the defending champions decide to sell, they've got multiple names that people are going to want to talk about, including Eovaldi. Max Scherzer, obviously somebody who's people are going to have some interest in. Problem is, Max has just recently said that he doesn't want to waive his no-trade clause again. This will be the 3rd time in 4 years. And it doesn't sound like he wants to do that. He is going to be a free agent after the season, and then he can go wherever the hell he wants. So maybe he's like, I don't feel like moving again. I don't. So that's his prerogative. Other names include Andrew Heaney, Michael Lorenzen, and relievers David Robertson and Kirby Yates. Eovaldi obviously also has the pedigree for doing well in the postseason, which he did last year. It was him and Jordan Montgomery were the big names that were pitching for the Rangers when they went on to win the title. So that's one of them. Zach Eflin, 30 years old. 5-7 this year with a 4.14 ERA plus of 94, so a little bit below average. He's in the 2nd year of his 3-year, $40 million deal with the Rays. He'll make $18 million next season, a number the Rays probably don't want to pay, which is why he is a trade target and would be made available, kind of like how Tyler Glasnow was. He had 1 year remaining. It was a whole lot of money. It was $25 million. And so the Rays were like, who wants him? And the Dodgers were like, yeah, we'll take him. Been pretty darn good. Pretty good move, right? But that's where Zach Eflin sits as far as why he's being made available. The Rays are 10.5 back in the AL East. They're 5.5 back in the AL wild card. And I saw a report today that the words were open for business, which makes perfect sense. Former Cardinal Randy Arozarena has been mentioned in rumors, along with the reliever and Webster Groves and Mizzou product Pete Fairbanks, among others. So these are some of the names that are on the table. There are other guys for the Rays that are tradable as well. So you can see why the Cardinals would have interest in both of those starting pitchers. Eflin comes with the guarantee that he's on your team next year, which will make him cost a little bit more. And I know fans hate trading with the Rays because it seems like more times than not, the Tampa Bay Rays end up fleecing the other team. It's not just the Cardinals who they've traded with and have lost a trade. There's been others. The Pirates, we're playing them right now, comes to mind in that Chris Archer deal. But the Rays they're going to be moving some guys, and the Cardinals should be ready when they do. So who else is out there? Well, next guy on the list is sporting a 10.1 Ks per 9 this year. That's pretty good. We'll tell you about him next on Locked On Cardinals. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. With summer travel heating up, especially travel for baseball games, it's time to explore those U.S. cities you always secretly wanted to learn more about. And yeah, we're talking about the rival cities. Places like Cincinnati and Pittsburgh with beautiful River City setups. Chicago, you got Wrigleyville and everything that Chicago has to offer. Milwaukee, beers, brats, cheese. My Green Bay Packers are there. But you can find the perfect spot for your needs with hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com. And you might just find your perfect stay even in your baseball rivals city. Booking.com has so many choices across the U.S. for your summer travel this MLB season. And let's not forget about your Little League tournaments that you're going to in different cities throughout the country. Booking.com has got you covered there as well. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your rivals. Book today on Booking.com, on the site, or in the Booking.com app. I love sports, and I love them so much, I never want to see them stop. And when they slow down a little bit like they are now outside of Major League Baseball, there's not a ton going on. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I got to do is open up the app and just dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. You know, we're facing the Pirates tonight. They got that guy named Paul Skeens, right? He's pretty good. Probably going to strike out a decent amount of people. Has been doing it at an elite clip. I haven't seen what the over-under is on his strikeouts yet, but I'm willing to go with the over probably, as long as it's not outrageous. But that's something that you can use. Or if you want to go in the other direction, you think the Cardinals are going to get the best of Paul Skeens finally tonight, probably make a decent amount of money off that as well. So head over to FanDuel.com/lockedon and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all the shouting? Then make the switch to Locked On Sports today. It's a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. You can find it streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Now, the Toronto Blue Jays could make a huge impact on this year's trade deadline. They've got some pretty big names on that roster. It's surprising how bad Toronto has been this year, considering all of the talent that is on their roster. I mean, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette, Kevin Kiermaier are names that have been floating out there as far as position players that are made available. Kiermaier, I think, didn't they even designate him or something? I forget what they did, but they made him available and then nobody took him. The team has said that they don't plan on moving on from Vladimir Guerrero Jr. or Bo Bichette, but it's popping up. So obviously they're listening. So if somebody wants to come in and overwhelm them with a deal, they're not going to say no. As we've said before, almost everybody is tradable. There's always a price. There's something where you couldn't say no if they offered you this. So I think that's where Toronto is when it comes to those particular players. Are the Cardinals going to get in on the Vladimir Guerrero Bo Bichette? No, they're probably not, although it would be pretty sweet to see Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in a St. Louis Cardinals uniform. But pitching-wise is where the Cardinals will have some interest in what the Toronto Blue Jays do. And one pitcher who more than likely will get moved is left-hander Yusei Kikuchi. All right, 33 years old. Cardinals have been listed as a potential landing spot by many people for Kikuchi, including The Athletic, who said Kikuchi has been good rather than great in 3 seasons with the Blue Jays, putting together dominant stretches only to struggle for weeks at a time. Still, his high strikeout rate and demonstrated ability to pitch like an all-star for stretches is likely enough to make him one of the most sought-after rental starters available. He would fit nicely in the number 3 or number 4 spot of most contending rotations, but might not appeal to every team as a reliable playoff rotation option against righty-heavy lineups. And when you look at his numbers this year, you're probably going to say something like, ew, because his numbers aren't great. He's 4-9, 4.54 ERA, the ERA plus at 89. Again, below average, 100 is average. But his FIP is 3.58, which shows you that he's pitching better than some of his numbers are showing you. He does have 125 strikeouts in 111 innings pitched. That's 10.1 Ks per 9. And he's in the final year of his 3-year deal with Toronto. Adding a lefty to this rotation, in my opinion, would not be such a bad idea. It really would. I mean, your lefty was Steven Matz in this rotation before. Uncertainty about what he's going to do moving forward, if he's going to be a part of the future the rest of the year at all. And if he does come back and he's healthy, you know he's a guy that you've been able to put him into the bullpen, and he's been effective there too. So if he does get healthy and you can use him at some point, maybe just slide him back into the bullpen. Maybe that's where he belongs. Kikuchi has strikeout stuff, something the Cardinals don't have a lot of in their rotation outside of Sonny Gray. And again, expiring contracts are going to be kind of attractive to John Mozeliak. So it shouldn't cost the Cardinals all that much to land him. It's going to cost you something, because you always got to give to get. But it's not going to be the outrageous stuff that some of these other teams are going to be asking for players who have years of control still with those guys. Now, if you want to swing for the fences with Toronto, you could ask about Kevin Gausman, Chris Bassett. Those are guys that still have a year of control left. They're both signed through 2025. So it's going to cost a lot more, but you're also getting, some guys that have a better pedigree than Kikuchi does. But you say Kikuchi seems like he's kind of right in the wheelhouse of a John Mozeliak type of move. And there may not be as much competition to get him as there will be for guys like Nathan Eovaldi, Zach Eflin, Garrett Crochet. The list goes on and on and on, right? They've also got a couple of relievers, Yimi Garcia and Trevor Richards, as bullpen arms that the Cardinals might find attractive as well. And you might be able to package some stuff together and get 2 guys that can help you out from the Blue Jays roster. The Cardinals and the Blue Jays have made plenty of deals in the past. Good relationship. So it wouldn't shock me to see something like that. The next name that continues to pick up steam is from the White Sox, Erick Fedde. And I know everydayers, you're probably sick of hearing about Erick Fedde, but the reality is that he's a good fit for the Cardinals. And until he's dealt somewhere else, he's going to be someone that is linked to St. Louis. The USA Today's Bob Nightingale said in one of his recent articles that, quote, the St. Louis Cardinals have strong interest in White Sox veteran starter Erick Fedde. So there's at least some smoke there. All right. People are at least saying, yeah, they're interested. And it makes sense. Fedde is 31, former first-round pick. Just didn't find the success with the Washington Nationals like many people thought he would in the major league. So he goes overseas and he figures some things out. Something clicks. He goes on to win the KBO version of the Cy Young and MVP awards. Gets the pitching triple crown in Korea. Comes back over to the States with the White Sox and has been a very pleasant surprise for them. He's 7-3, 2.98 ERA. Doesn't have the strikeout numbers that you might want, but has an ERA plus of 138. Contract-wise, he's got another year remaining on the 2-year deal that he signed with Chicago, but it's only for $7.5 million next season, which I know, a lot of money to me and you. But in the grand scheme of starting pitchers in Major League Baseball who are good, not very much money, kind of cheap. These 2 names fit the mold of what John Mozeliak would normally target. Let's just be honest about it. He's not probably targeting the top names that are out there. He's going to probably come in under the radar a little bit and go with guys in a lower tier It's just the way the Cardinals have done business at the trade deadline for many, many years. Fedde continues to intrigue me more and more as more talk about him keeps coming out, because you just can't ignore the success that the guy has had this year. Just recently in the month of July, he's faced the Guardians, one of the best teams in baseball, the Twins, doing very, very well in the AL Central, and the Rangers, who I know haven't been the Rangers of last year, but, you still got to respect that lineup. And he's 2-0 with a 1.56 ERA and 17 1/3 innings, and opponents are hitting 164 against him. He just continues to pitch well. At this point of the season, you can't deny that he's doing a very good job. And he's better than most of the options that you have in the Cardinals rotation right now. Locked On White Sox host Jack Johnson reached out to me this weekend, actually. I'll share this with you. Asking, so Erick Fedde and the Cardinals, what would you be willing to give up for someone like Fedde? And I was like, well, what do you want? Like, what do you think? What are the White Sox after? And he said they want hitters. They're looking for batting. They want infielders and outfielders and major league ready hitting if possible. So my response to him was Dylan Carlson immediately pops off. Major league hitter, switch hitter, used to be a top prospect, hasn't found the success or the playing time recently. Change of scenery would probably do him good. We've got infielders at AAA like Jose Fermin, Thomas Ajacey, and Cesar Prieto, who are probably ready to go to the major leagues and start playing for somebody. Fermin's been up already. And I told him that the Cardinals have a number of catching prospects as well. I mean, you got Pages up on the team, Ivan Herrera. I don't want to trade Ivan Herrera. And there are other guys below Herrera that are younger and might have brighter futures than Ivan Herrera, to be honest. So, but we know Ivan Herrera can hit at the major league level. So that's somebody that may be included in a trade during this deadline. Now that Pages has kind of passed him up because of his ability to handle pitchers and the way that he throws, which is better than Ivan Herrera was. Not as good of a hitter by any means, but you got Wilson Contreras for the next 3 years after this one. So I also asked him, maybe we sweeten the deal a little bit, make it a little bit bigger. What about reliever Michael Kopech coming in return from the White Sox, former first-round pick? Strikeout stuff, elite fastball velo and strikeout stuff, but he struggles with his command. As a year of arbitration remaining, I feel like the White Sox have very much soured on him and are ready to move on. Could we throw in, say, a non-top 15 pitching prospect in return for him? Could the Cardinals and Dusty Blake unlock the talent in Kopech and figure out why he has trouble throwing strikes? Is that something, Imagine two fireballers like Helsley and Kopech in your bullpen, and then Kittredge scoots up a spot. Ryan Fernandez scooches up a spot. Just throwing it. I'm just spitballing, guys. It's how negotiations are done. By the way, he never replied and said, yeah, deal, let's go. He never said that. But, these are the things that we got to think about. This is how you come up with the deal. So those are the latest rumors and rumblings. So I'm sure more will come out. Again, we're 1 week away from the trade deadline. So more to come for sure. All right, we're going to talk about the game on Monday night against the Pirates. That's coming up next on Locked On Cardinals. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more, whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit every time, or you get your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebay.com/motors. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 5 million members. Are you one of them? PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. And unlike other apps on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you got to do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch your winnings roll in. Why not get in on the daily action and bring your friends along and become part of the Prize Picks community? You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks. With as little as 4 correct picks, you can turn $10 into $1,000. How about that? $1,000. What can you do with that? Think about it. What can you do with it? Spend it on your child's education. Why not? Spend it on yourself, you and the wife, you and the husband. Spend it however you want. But you can't win it unless you're on Prize Picks. If you're looking for promotions, they've got you covered every week, from lowering select player stats, their projections on Tuesdays to help your lineup hits, or how about getting your entry fees back if you have a losing lineup on Fridays? It's now available in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. So don't wait. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on Prize Picks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy with Prize Picks. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. It's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today. It's here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows. So find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. So Monday night, Cardinals fall in Pittsburgh 2-1. They had 7 hits, but only got 1 run across. Nolan Gorman hits the solo shot in the 5th that went off the foul pole. Team leading 19th home run of the season. But unlike previous games against Mitch Keller this year, where the Cardinals hit him pretty well, couldn't figure him out enough to score any runs on Monday night. The Cardinals left runners on 2nd and 3rd in the 2nd, 2 more runners on base in the 5th. They went 0 for 3 with a runner in scoring position. Paul Goldschmidt had 2 hits. The only Cardinal who had multiple hits in the lineup, was batting in the 7th hole again, and got 2 singles in this game, which is good. You like to see progression. You like to see that out of Paul Goldschmidt. The top 4 hitters in the lineup, 2 for 18. Not good. Tough night for the offense. It happens. It did not go unnoticed online, though, by the way, as I was bombarded with people just bashing the Cardinals offense last night. And my response to that was, this Mitch Keller guy, he's pretty good. Not like he's some scrub that the Pirates just picked off the street. He's now 10-5, ERA 3.34, ERA plus of 122. Mitch Keller is a legit top 20 starter in the National League. Like, why are people freaking out that in his 3rd game against the Cardinals this year, he finally was able to slow them down a little bit? I didn't think it was going to come as such a surprise, but people were like, Cardinals are terrible again. In the old saying, good pitching beats good hitting. Monday night, that was true. Andre Pallante, give a little credit to Andre, man. He was good too, by the way. 6 innings, 1 run, 3 hits. Been very good in his last 4 starts. He's thrown 24 in 2/3 innings. He's allowed 6 runs. 4 of those were by the Royals, by the way. ERA of 2.19. Opponents are hitting just 193 against him. Andre Pallante has been pretty darn good since finally getting a chance to start in the rotation. Now, will this stop them from making any additions at the deadline? I hope not. Like, it's great, something to build upon, but I need more. I just give me some more. But Pallante is sure giving them something to think about. I'm not going to say that he hasn't, but is it Pallante that we're trying to get better than anyway? Are we trying to get better than Michaelis or Len at the same time? Think about that. Think about that. The big play last night was in the 8th when John King was on the mound. He allows a leadoff single, and then you get that wild pitch, and that really changed things because then RBI single by Nick Gonzalez breaks the 1-1 tie, makes it 2-1. That's how it ended. And it got a lot of people asking me, like, where is Jojo Romero? Is he okay? Do we know if he's alive? According to reports, he is alive, and there's nothing wrong with him. Hasn't appeared in the game since July 13th, which is why people are concerned. But here was the explanation. that Romero had allowed a single and a walk-off hit against the same spots in the Pirates lineup when last the Cardinals visited Pittsburgh. So Ollie wanted to give the Pirates a different look instead. Ollie told the media afterwards, "We felt good about keeping the ball on the ground as much as possible. They're going to have to single us to death." They did. That's what it came down to, right? As much as King is on the ground, as much as Reynolds and Cruz are on the ground, both of those guys are going to have to try to lift the ball, and more power to them if they can. They singled us to death. So that's your explanation. It was another type ball game, something the Cardinals are all too familiar with here in 2024, and it puts them kind of behind the eight ball, so to speak, in this series, because tonight you get to face Paul Skeens, yay, who has yet to lose at the major league level. 6-0, 1.90 ERA in 11 starts. One of those against the Cardinals on June 11th when he went 6 1/3 innings, no runs, 5 hits, 8 strikeouts. You had the controversy about were the Cardinal fans giving him a standing ovation when he left the game, or were they cheering for something else? He did not factor in the decision in that game, a game that the Cardinals ended up losing 2-1. But since we saw him, since the Cardinals saw Paul Skeens last, he's 3-0 in 5 starts. Pirates 3-2 in those 5 starts, by the way. But he's got an ERA of 1.36, 43 strikeouts in 33 innings. Opponents are hitting 190 against him. So, yeah, he's really good. Now, he's only faced one other team twice so far. And those were in his first 2 starts. He faced the Cubs in both of them. And he was actually better the second time around against the Cubs. So is tonight the night that someone finally beats him? It's got to happen at some point. Why not the Cardinals, right? Cardinals will have Lance Lynn on the mound opposite him. Lynn has won 3 of his last 4 outings, and in his last appearance against the Bucks on June 13th, lasted just 4 1/3 innings, allowed 3 runs on 4 hits, but walked 3, struck out 5. As they say in the movie Taken, good luck. All right, we're done for the day. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen each and every day. If you haven't already, give us a follow on Twitter X at @LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio. Please like and subscribe on YouTube to help our channel and love for the Cardinals grow. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason, and I will see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.